If everyone was in touch with their own source, their own consciousness, if everyone was happy right now with anything that they did, there would be no need to take anything from anyone else that didn't belong to them. There would be no crime. We all have a lopsided idea of what makes us happy. And it's only when everything is completely taken care of, like your basic needs are completely taken care of, and you start thinking about your spiritual self. The very rich and the very poor, they think of nothing other than money. The very rich want to take your money. Trust me, they do. And the very poor want to take your money. It is because, as a society, we've placed so much emphasis on possession, on the outside material world, that crime exists. I don't have it. You do. And what you do is mine. Recently, I had the opportunity to read a book. I didn't really like the book very much. For one, I thought it was just a rant. But it gave me an insight into a world that I know nothing about. We're all very blessed, extremely blessed, that we live a life that's of comfort and of safety. We live in a time, in a country that is relatively safe. If you lived in Syria right now, you could not say the same thing. Or in Yemen right now, you could not say the same thing. Violence is a single act of insanity. Normally. Most people that are incarcerated in today's jails have committed one act of insanity. And now, for the rest of their lives, they are put into a place which is a school of crime. There is an entire murky underworld very close to where we're living. It's not that far away. But people are so unhappy and so frustrated and unable to express what they're feeling and unable to even get in touch with their consciousness. Because if you are in touch with your consciousness, you cannot make a wrong choice. Even if I had a gun here, even if I had access to that gun and someone was going to shoot me, I would not pick up a gun and shoot anyone else. Ever. I'm at peace with myself. I have no anger issues, no frustrations. But I'm talking in a moment where I'm completely calm and everything is good. But what happens in that one moment when something that you hold extremely precious is going to be taken away, or something you want dearly is happening, and you lose it for that second and you do something that you don't realize? It's the adrenaline that's kicked in. It's the people you're associated with. It's the drugs you're on. Most of the crimes are committed by people that are not in a normal state of consciousness. They are in an altered state, either because of mental problems for which they cannot get medication, or self-induced alternate states of consciousness, drink and drugs. They are not in a position to make a rational decision. They have lived all their lives surrounded by crime, meanness, drugs. No one has shown them how to love. There is not a person who's held their hand and said, I am here for you. I am here for you. What do you need? Let me help you. And as I read page after page, I realized you don't become a sociopathic killer, you don't become an insane killer because you're born like that. It's the community we live in. And we live in little isolated shells. We don't really want to associate with those people. We're quite happy for them to be put away in prisons. But a man goes in for stealing a loaf of bread and comes out a gang killer. He comes out, he cannot find a job, no one will hire him because of his record. He has no chance of making things right. I spoke during the course of my research to a person who had been under the influence of drugs several times and had actually murdered someone and was put into a prison in Denmark. And there he remained, till he was granted parole. And at that point, he walked into a room where they were doing the breathing and meditation. It was a free course, so he signed up. And he did it twice, actually. The first time it didn't work, the second time it did. And there was something that flipped in his head. And suddenly, it was all very clear to him that the mistakes that he had made, the decisions that he had taken, the choices that he made for himself, because ultimately it's the choices we make, right? Whether it's in a rational moment or an irrational moment, you are given two choices: to kill or not to kill, to hurt or not to hurt, to be rude or to be courteous. We always have a choice. And these are choices we make whether we are in a normal state or an altered state of consciousness. And he decided that in his house he would call the dregs of society and teach them the breathing and meditation. And that's how Prison Smart was born. He dedicates his entire life to teaching prisoners meditation and breathing. He's got people who are serial killers, who are prostitutes, who are pimps, who are, mafia, underworld killers, all kinds of people that come to him. And he says they go out like little cats. I've had money on the table and no one has taken anything from me. And this is a very noble thing that he does, because in that moment when his transformation took place was a realization that it's all divine manifestation. This is divine as you, this is divine as you, this is divine as you, this is divine as that murderer, this is divine as that drug addict, this is the divine as an alcoholic. No one is bad. They are just not in touch. If you give them an opportunity to understand that the love they are seeking, the recognition, just for someone to notice them, that they're people. Do you know that in the workforce there was a poll done, and that 80% of today's workforce is completely disengaged with their work. That they're doing everything without really wanting to. That was shocking for me. It's the same with people. They just want someone to notice them, to give them the time of day, to let them know of their own importance, of their own divinity, that they're Godified. They have the same energy as you and me, but they just don't know how to use it. And on the other side, you have the law that keeps these people away from you, keeps them incarcerated in these prisons. Have you ever tried locking yourself up in a 4x6? And you've only stolen a piece of bread or been caught under the influence. But something happens in the prison and you hit somebody else and you're put in solitary, and then it just goes on. It increases. That entire criminal justice system is not aimed at giving them a chance at normal life, is creating an entire army of psychopaths, sociopaths, people that are malaligned. We don't want to have anything to do with them. We don't want to give them the time of day. They're not even human. And if you live in India, you'd see that. You don't make eye contact with the beggars. You don't even look at them. Like this, you throw the coins out of your window. You've seen people do it, I'm sure. We don't want anything to do with that part of society because it makes us feel uncomfortable. What if we were there? And the policemen, they're like you and me. If you saw someone who's blown his brains out, it would have an impact on you, right? It has an impact on them too. They're given guns, and in 1 second they have to decide whether they will be killed or they will kill. Think about it. Whether you're trained, whether you're not trained, violence impacts you. There is an effect on you. However macho and manly you want to be, it has emotional ramifications, and as soon as you have any reaction to any situation, it does create the vibrations that will settle in your body. These are human beings. And I've had cops come into my house and take my Cartier watch in Mexico City. You never wanted a cop to come anywhere near you. Because the ones that were put on the police force are no different from the people on the streets. People are not different. They just do different jobs. They make life work. And sometimes it's hard to make life work. I had a boy in Mexico City when I was going. He came with 2 loaves of bread, but he was short. And they wouldn't give it to him. He would have just taken it and run if I hadn't paid for it then. Literally, I saw it myself. Don't think that there's a big line, big difference between yourself and the rest of them. Any moment, a situation can come up. There can be a moment of irrationality, an act of insanity, and you're right there. You're right there together with the rest of them. It doesn't help to put them out of your mind. It doesn't help to do nothing about them. But yes, every moment you live in gratitude. You live in gratitude that for this moment at least, I have everything I need. I am taken care of. I am so blessed. And it is the power of your meditation, the power of your service, your seva, the sanctity of your thoughts that protects you. Why is it that it happens to some people and not to others? Have you ever wondered how come he gets mugged on the street and I don't? You can be on the same train but someone else will be mugged. Stuff happens. And every minute that you live in comfort and safety, you live with gratitude. And there is a reason why there is so much violence and crime in this world. It is a model of that which you don't want. If everything was the same, we wouldn't understand it. It's because of the opposites. You appreciate good because of evil. You appreciate white because of black. The opposites help us to understand and to find some balance. But at all times, you have to remember they are just exactly like you. Exactly like you. And if you have the courage, go take that step and do something for them. I know of I read about someone in the BBC. Runs a mechanic shop and he only hires ex-cons. Only. And that's wonderful. You'd be scared, right? Oh my God, he's got a record. What if he does this to me? They're not given a chance. They're not given a chance. They're killed as soon as they're put into the system. And you want your community to do well. You want less crime in your area. Then you have to spread this perfume of meditation. Trust me, if you are in touch with yourself, if you feel that gratitude, that love, that compassion, that is the perfume of meditation, there is no capacity for crime. Absolutely not. So it is your duty to spread this. Not just to come once a week and meditate, but to meditate and make your mother meditate, and make your sister meditate, and make your friends meditate. And that's how the community gets built.